As shown in the previous videos, the employee dashboard is a great starting point for both troubleshooting and remediation, but also to get an overall understanding of the digital experience in the environment. In this case, I've selected the last 7 days, but I can easily change that to, for example, a different time period like last month. And in the left widget, it will show the distribution of the different experiences categorized by good, fair and poor for all employees during that time period. The widgets next to it show information about applications, devices and unified communications calls, and if you're running NPS surveys, the user sentiment in the environment. The green numbers under it are the differences between the currently selected time period and the one before it, which would be last week. The score over time shows you the distribution per day over the selected time period, or if you select one day, over the hours of that day, and there's an option to compare with a previous time period. For example, if we look at May 7th, which was, I believe, a Tuesday, it will compare it with April 30th, the Tuesday before it. This way we can easily spot trends about or anomalies on the experience score and kind of like correlate that with certain actions that were done, maybe certain rollouts, certain patches, certain IT events that were happening that day. In addition to this, you can set filters. For example, by device group. We looked at a certain device group earlier. Obviously, when I select that, the numbers will go down because it's a much smaller sample set of devices and their employees that are using them. But also things like hardware models or location. For example, the country. I can just look at our office in Israel, or at least our end users in Israel. And this filter will persist across the different views. So if I go to the map view, now I just see the employees and their experience working from our Israel location. If I reset it, the map resets as well to the global view. The Details tab will show all the employees that were detected and for which we have recorded information. You can see things like the lowest and high score, the score over time, what device they were working on, what the most common problems were, common applications and remote sessions. Let's have a look at a particular user. So I'm going to make this list a little bit longer. And go to this user, which is me. And again, now I have a detailed view about just this user, the apps they were using, their devices they were working on. So this is not just restricted to a single device. This is not a device score. This is an employee score. How many minutes they were active and how many unified communications calls were recorded. Again, I get to see the score over time for this particular user, as well as the activity over time, which includes the devices they were working on, in this case only one. In this case, this device has been on and active for the whole time. Any applications they were running, so these are the foreground applications. And depending on your privacy settings, there could be certain information that is restricted or hidden from the interface. That data is not stored. As well as any remote sessions such as Citrix, Horizon or Microsoft AVD. If we go back and look at another user, you see that this user over the last 7 days obviously have a different activity timeline. If I go to today, I can see that earlier today, locked and active, probably lunch break here, and active. good security, locking the device, good behavior. And of course the various apps, and in this case the person was running a remote session but using AVD. Going back to the previous user, we're now looking at today, but we can further zoom in for the last few hours. All the way down to the minute by minute score. Although presented minute by minute, we do collect data from physical endpoints every 3 seconds. And that data is being used to see if certain experience algorithms are breached. So let's have a look at this one. You can see that if we click on it, we actually get the detailed breakdown about which metrics are causing the drop in experience score. In this case, it's CPU load on the device and memory utilization on their VDI session, which is currently the remote session indicated by this CD viewer, the active application, so the foreground application, which is a big difference in how ControlUp looks at experience scores. It is an employee score. It's not a technology score. So it takes into consideration things like the foreground application, activity. So if a user is not actually behind their desk using their keyboard and mouse, we will actually not collect experience information because that data at that point is irrelevant.